Parshas Devarim. The pasuk starts, Ela Devarim asher diber Moshe el kol Yisrael ba'arvos ba'midbar, right? Ba'arvos be'ever Yarden ba'midbar ba'arava mo'elsuf ben toifel v'lavan v'chatzeres v'dizahav. Those are all little titles of different stories that we went through in the Midbar. We go through all of these titles, and as Rashi explains, each one of them describes a different story that we went through. And we have the story of Koirach, the story of bad-mouthing the Mun, and the Egel, all of these conversations that we have to have in order to summarize and review what happened over the last 40 years. Moshe Rabbeinu takes this last chapter of his life, and he gives us an entire book, an entire Chumash, Devarim, Deuteronomy, in order to explain and what we are facing when we come out of the Midbar and go into our independent lives, into the land of Israel, as we live independently with our own fields, ishtachas gafnoit, ishtachas teinasai, everybody under their own fig tree and then vineyard. And let's understand what's Moshe's strategy over here. How is he trying to get through to us? And what's the main point that we could take out just from this first pasuk? So if you look into the first Rashi explains that just like in every other Chumash, Rashi explains that Hashem loves his children. He loves us. And that's why every first pasuk, he tries to bring out something about the beauty of the Yidden. Like in Bereshis, B'shvil HaTorah, B'shvil Yisrael. Ve'ele Shmois B'nei Yisrael haba Mitzrayma, goes into even though we counted them, but Hashem loves counting us again. Vayikra, Hashem calls us in a lashon of chiba. Right? And Bamidbar, that Hashem keeps on counting us. And Devarim, Hashem says, even though you did horrible things, I still love you, and I'm just going to hint on them, and I won't go into depth until later. Just so I could start off with this proper introduction. There's this connection that we have with Hashem that goes above everything else. And as we go up, usually we end up at one, right? So what does that mean? We say, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Hashem is one. What does one mean? That there is no other. There is no two. So if there are many subjects in this world, if I could speak about walls and I could speak about lighting, I could speak about doors and cars and tefillin and tzitzis and mirrors and windows. There are so many opposites and different sides to everything that so when we dig into all of these individual subjects that we just spoke about, that we just mentioned, just as random things we could talk about, but there are so many other things. We talk about people, we could talk about hearts, we could talk about minds and limbs, couches, and so many other things. As we dig into each thing, we could find Hashem in the end. We will find, if we dig in and search for the truth, we will find Hashem on top. And that leads us to Echad, which is the beginning. Little children, when they first learn how to talk, they learn single words. One word explains their entire wish, their entire will. If they're hungry, they're going to say food. Or if they need to go make, they'll say make. Yeah? Or just one word is enough for them to explain everything. And as we grow up, we start expanding in our words and say, I am hungry, can I get some food please? Or I would like to have this and this food, and I'd like to be well done or medium. Or they start adding words in order to explain that one word on top. So that one word that they said when they were younger really encapsulates everything underneath it. It's like the umbrella for everything beneath it. And that's what Echad is. Hashem Echad. Echad means it's one, and it's the umbrella for everything else. Everything underneath it comes up to this original one word on the top. So as we look through the titles of this pasuk, Bamidbar, Ba'arava, Mo'elsuf, Ben Toifel V'lavan, V'chatzeres V'dizahav, those are all titles that encapsulate a lot of emotion. They encapsulate a lot of a big story, a lot of death and a lot of fear and a lot of anger and crying and sadness. And of course, the lessons that we learned through these stories. The lessons that we learned that in the beginning we were sad about certain things, and now we learned how to get over it. So let's describe sadness for a second. Sadness is when somebody is lacking something. If I don't have access to a certain wish that I want, the lacking or the distance of that is going to make me sad because I really want that. And the harder it is for me to achieve that goal, the more sad I will become. And of course, we could choose not to become sad and continue fighting and stay resilient, be in that grind to make it happen. But if somebody had something and that's ripped away from them, that distance creates a certain sadness. So now we have to see, what is it that we become sad for? What is it on the other end that once we are distanced of it or of them, do we become sad? Do we become sad when we are lacking, and when we're lacking a certain person in our life? Yeah, and we say, "Oh, Hashem, I wish he wouldn't have died because I really needed them in my life." Then what is the sadness about? Is it because we don't trust Hashem's plan? Or is it because my life would have been better if they would be here? And the second we start seeing that there are two sides to look at it, we could say, yes, my life is sad because I really wanted this person to continue being in it, but I see that Hashem has a greater plan, and I won't become sad because I see that there's something bigger. So that's how we see in every problem that we have, every story that person goes through. Our entire past, people go for different types of therapies, different types of medicines in order to help them out, to be able to see the other side and see, wait a second, there is a plan, I wasn't always in control, and it's fine. But then there are things that could be used in two different ways. For example, money. We could use our money for Hashem. We could use it to, pay tuition, buy ourselves some holy books, and enjoy a beautiful Shabbos meal with expensive wines. Or we could go and use that money and gamble it away, waste it on an extravagant lifestyle that doesn't serve any meaning. It's just for the moment, and just about having the most expensive car, and just about living the most grandest lifestyle. And when a person is distanced from the money, what do they become sad for? Do they become sad because, oh, now I won't be able to afford my beach vacation? Or is it, Hashem, if I don't have money, I won't be able to serve you properly. So I'm sad. The only sadness a person should be able to have in this life is saying, yes, Hashem, I really want to serve you better, and I don't have the means to do that. And that makes me sad because I know my days on this earth are limited. So please give me the ability to serve you properly. Give me the money so I should be able to serve you. And we see how there's a difference. Like, where should we use our sadness, and what should we do with it? And what lessons do we learn? The point is that we come out of it saying, Hashem, I see you, and I want to be closer to you, and I want to use all of my resources in order to connect to you. So all these titles that we have in the Parshat of Devarim, right, are stories that we went through, and we had a certain sadness within us. We cried over the story about the mun. We said, oh, the mun wasn't good. How we would have loved to have those watermelons and that we had in Egypt. And by the egel, we had the sadness because we wanted something for our personal life. We said, Lu Masnu, we wish we would have died in the hand of the Mitzrayim than dying over here in the Midbar without water. And then by the egel, where is Moshe Rabbeinu? We need a leader. We need somebody. And it was all self-indulgent. They all wanted this for themselves, for their own personal gain. And that's where their sadness came from. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, okay, now that we are at the end of this entire story, we went through a whole bunch of different episodes throughout this midbar. Let's zoom out and take a look at all of these things. Let's look at all these stories, and let's find that one singular thing that connects all this. What's this echad on top of it that really connects all these stories together? What connects it is that as you were growing, you were slowly learning how to connect to Hashem and how to make your life one with Him, and make all of the things that you want and all of the wishes that you dream of to be His Ratzon. As the Mishnah says, Asei Ritzoncha Kirtzonai. Make your will like His will. If His will is for you to live a full life, learning and davening and being connected to Him, that's how you should want. That should be your will. And as the Yidden were going through the Midbar, they were slowly learning that it's not about them. It's not about the hardships. It's not about their dreams. It's about what Hashem wants. And once we learn how to internalize that and say, whatever Hashem wants, that's the life that I want to lead, that's when sadness goes away. That's when we start seeing that the only sadness we should have is when we feel like we are distanced of Hashem, because that is the place that we want to go. And once we start seeing that we are distanced of Him, and we start davening, we start saying, Hashem, I want to be close to you again. Just by opening your mouth, just by saying these few words, you are already close to Him. It doesn't require a lot of work. It requires you to steady and slow down and figure it out in your mind and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Feel it in your heart and say, I'm going to talk to Hashem right now. And that's what we say, LemmerHypno. These are the words. Okay? These are the words. When you just say these words, that I want to be connected to Hashem, I could take every story in my life. I could take Bamidbar, Ba'aravam, Ma'osov, Ben Toifel Valavan, Chatzeres, V'Zahav. I could take my story with my being bullied in school, and I could take my story about being financially insecure. I could take my health problems. I could take my children and their problems and my responsibilities, my obligations, and me being stranded on a boat, and me being lost in a forest. I could take all of these stories from my entire life and find one common denominator between all of them and say, those are all the plan of Hashem. And yes, I was scared while these stories happened to me. Yes, I was terrified. I was crying. I threw a fit. I was yelling and screaming. I made it known to everyone that I'm not happy. And but guess what? I grew, and I'm noticing now that this is not the way. I'm noticing that what I have to do is that I realized that the entire wilderness, the entire trek through the Midbar, the entire trek through my life was meant for me to get to know Hashem better, connect to Him on a deeper level, and look for Him throughout my entire life. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu shows up over here, and he says, listen, there are a couple of ways to look at life. You can look at it from an expansive point of view. You go hindsight, you go from the top down, you look at everything that happened in your life, and you start looking at the patterns and noticing them. And then once you finish noticing the pattern, you see how you're supposed to live, you go back down and live your actual life. You start walking through the motions again. You start living your life. So you go to work, just like when somebody goes and buys, let's say like this, somebody goes into a glasses store and he says, I need to fix my glasses because there's a screw missing. When he comes in there, the screw in his mind is this tiny, tiny screw that he needs to fix his glasses. And now the repairman says, okay, I have to take this screw and put it into the hole. And now the screw zooms in, it becomes this huge thing, and as you hold the glasses and put the screwdriver with the screw into that little socket, you start realizing how the screw actually takes up your entire attention. It becomes this big thing. That's called contraction, because from an expansive point of view of knowing that I need to have glasses, I need to have this screw in the glasses, when you start working on it every single day, when you start fixing your glasses, that screw is the most important thing in your life right now. So we look at things expansively, we learn our lessons through the pattern, and through the pattern of our life, and we start seeing what do we want, how do we want to live for the rest of our life, what are we going to do in order to make ourselves a better person, and eventually we'll come back to this expansive view and make an assessment test of how did we do over the last couple of months, and how should we go further. But over these few months that we are in our lives, going through step by step, we are basically taking every little screw and zooming it into our eyes, noticing everything throughout it, and making the most out of every day, knowing not to become sad. Every story that happens to us, we analyze it, we look at it, we try to find Hashem through it, and we keep ourselves happy, keep ourselves content, walk around with Emunah, and do the proper thing in Hashem's eyes. And that's how Moshe Rabbeinu says right before Sheni, that Hashem, here be'eschem kechem elef pa'amim, Hashem should kechoich v'hashamayim l'roif, that He should expand your base and the people like the stars of the sky, and let's all get there. Mitzvah Hashem, let us take these lessons and grow all the way up. My name is Lemmer. I appreciate you tuning in and taking time out of your day to spend it here with me. I'm a hypnotherapist. You could reach me at LemmerHypno@gmail.com. And you can check out my books on Amazon, Who Am I, Tehillim Legacy Journal, The Poet's Journal. I'll be looking forward to hearing from you. Have a wonderful Shabbos. Thank you.